Very unique format. Not only is this the only double stop on the PBA Senior Tour, but it's also the only time that the touring pros get to bowl with the seniors. The resulting teams form interesting pairs, such as 60-year-old Bob Strampy and his youthful partner, 23-year-old Danny Weissman, who owned the distinction of having the greatest age discrepancy, 37 years. The legend, Harry Sullins, and PBA Hall of Famer Don Johnson have combined for 29 career professional championships, the most of any team in this event. Last year's defending champion, Dave Sutar, was in his rookie season on the PBA Senior Tour. And, of course, this year he was paired with the current PBA Rookie of the Year and hometown favorite, Brad Kozuski. Did any of these outstanding teams survive the cut to the Final Five? Stay tuned for the championship round finals of the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championships coming up next on ESPN. ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championship. Welcome to beautiful Thruway Lanes located in Buffalo, New York for the championship round finals of the $142,500 Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Denny Schreiner, and welcome back to Thruway Lanes in Buffalo, where for the fourth consecutive year, they are hosting one of the most challenging and unique events on the PBA Tour. It features the stars of yesteryear and the best players of the touring pros as a doubles team. And if it were up to me and I had a chance to bowl in this event, of course, I'd want the anchor man, three-time Firestone Tournament of Champions champ Mike Durbin as my partner. Let's talk about Tommy Evans and Walter Ray Williams, Jr. They have qualified fifth this week.
And it's an interesting team. Tommy Evans is an outstanding bowler down in Florida. He's a member of the Florida Bowling Hall of Fame. We got a chance to see how good he was in St. Charles. He threw 17 straight strikes then, trying to make a name for himself nationally. Walter Ray has already done that. He has won 5 titles, been Player of the Year, but he hasn't won since 1987. In fact, Denny, he has made 22 telecasts since then without a win. He says, enough is enough. It's time to win again.
All right, let's move on now to Glen Carlson and Bryan Goebel. Goebel averaged 263 for the 5th round, so Glen has a good horse this week.
Glen says he's been riding his horse all week long. Bryan won earlier this summer when he won in Riverside. He won last year in Tucson when he won 4 games on television, so he can get very, very hot. Glen Carlson is your consummate stylist. The viewers will enjoy watching him bowl.
Hottest player on the Senior Tour is John Handegard. He teams with maybe the best doubles player in PBA history, Steve Wunderlich. He's already won this event and finished second.
Well, we get to John Handegard, who has won twice already this year, Denny. If he wins again today, he has, just a commanding position for PBA Senior Player of the Year. Steve Wunderlich has already won 2 doubles titles in his career. He won this tournament a few years ago with Les Zykes. He won the PBA doubles last year with David Ozio. But he has that curse of unfulfilled potential because he's 0-5 bowling for singles event titles. So he not bowling for a singles event here, so he has a chance to win with a double.
Way back in 1981, Bill Beach captured the first PBA Seniors Championship. He will team with Brian Voss, who won just a couple of weeks ago. They were 7th in the position round, went all the way to 2nd.
Well, Brian Voss told us 2 weeks ago in Austin, Texas, that he was back. He's proved that, bowling for another, or a chance to bowl for another title tonight. His partner, Bill Beach, won the very first seniors event back in 1981. He was elected to the ABC Hall of Fame this year, but he also has a chance to be the first super senior, that is, over 60, to win a PBA title.
Teata Semiz has been one of the top senior players over the last 3 or 4 years, and he will bowl with Rick Steelsmith, one of the finest amateur bowlers in the world, before turning professionally. However, Steelsmith the last couple of years has struggled because he tore the rotator cuff.
Well, he tore that a couple of years ago. He just looked like he was a can't-miss star at that time when he won that. He still won Rookie of the Year that year that he first came out. Now he's slowly getting back. The arm is getting better. He's feeling better. Bowling with a veteran in Teata Semiz. Teata, if he wins tonight, is going to win his 6th senior championship. That would put him in the lead. He also was voted to the ABC Hall of Fame earlier this year. And bowling fans, we want you to sit back and enjoy this one tonight and watch the strategy that's employed by the seniors and the touring players. It's quite interesting for this event. Well, we've seen that really come to fruition in the last few years here, Denny, because if you and I are bowling together, You bowl on one lane and I bowl on the other lane. But if the next team coming on wants to make us change, they have the option to do that, and we'll explain that further to the viewers as we get into the telecast.
Should be an outstanding finals field, and so we'll be back with the start of match number 1. Keep in mind the winners will split a check for $28,000. The championship round finals of the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championship are being brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers with that clean, crisp, cold taste. Nothing beats a Bud. And by Thruway. Thruway kills jock itch fungus. When we come back to Buffalo, it'll be Tommy Evans, Walter Ray Williams Jr., and they will match up with Glen Carlson and Bryan Goebel. So don't go away. Touring Pro Doubles. And this is the 16th year the PBA has visited the greater Buffalo area, and the 4th consecutive year that they have held this tournament in this city.
And Denny, already we see the strategy coming into play. Goebel and Carlson finished higher in the standings, so they could choose what lane they wanted to finish on. As Tommy Evans picks up where he left off, but on the other side, from St. Charles, he gets to Brooklyn. They want Bryan Goebel to finish on lane 47, so they made Evans start the match. Evans and William countered by having Walter Ray finish on the right lane, so the turning player is going to finish in the 10th frame for both teams.
54-year-old Glen Carlson opens up championship round pair and play on lane 48, and he comes out and strikes very quickly. Nice shot for Glen.
The right lane seems to be tighter. Bryan Goebel just crushed him on Friday morning when he averaged over 260. Or what day are we? Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning.
I got to get my days straight here. The right lane is tighter, and for a player like Carlson, he can go straight at the pocket.
Goebel out. Perfect shot. Solid 8-pin.
Oh, boy. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men.
And there you see the shrug of the shoulders. We watched Bryan in practice. He had to throw 15 strikes in a row in practice.
I tell you, he was just, I bet he didn't leave a solid 8 the whole practice session. As soon as they turned the lights on, whack.
Would love to have started with a double there. 10 players for you to watch this evening on ESPN. 5 seniors and 5 touring pros. Walter Ray picking up where Guppy Troop left off.
Yes, with black and gray.
I like that.
He says he's not a black or white person, he's a black or gray. Is that it?
Maybe that helps him decide which foot to start on. Plays the outside angle that he moved too late in the practice session and strikes on 48.
Yeah, he moved there and threw 5 in a row and then missed for about 2 or 3 frames, and but he still decided to stay there.
Tommy Evans, who earlier this year on ESPN threw 17 consecutive strikes.
Proved that he can strike in St. Charles. A little tougher condition here, though. Nice stroke. Snapped high right at the end. He was running it out. The ball did a little dipsy-do to the left at the pins, and 4, 6, 7.
And Tommy's wife, Lynn, not too happy with the last offering, but she knows that he'll make the adjustment on the next shot. Of course, he went Brooklyn in the first frame, so he's struggling on 47.
Right. Cross lane, just shooting at the 2 pins, and throws away 2 pins by not hitting the 4-pin. Mental error there. You can't do that.
So now, Carlson steps up with a 7-pin lead. That's about as loose and as flowing an arm swing as you'll see as he tugs it a little left and leaves the Durbin on lane 48. How do you make this, Mike?
This is going to be interesting to see the way he shoots the 3, 6, 9, 10. He's playing right around the 8th board as it is. I think he'll just move his feet a little bit left and keep the same strike target. If he moves way left, which he is, he's moving way left, he's got to hit that 3-pin pretty full in order to make the spare and not leave the 9. Perfect.
Beautiful shot by Glen Carlson. Goebel says, all right, give me 5 of that, and let's see if I can get a strike on the left-hand lane.
See, the interesting thing, if Evans would have just gotten 9 out, it would be a 1-pin match instead of a 3-pin match.
A look from the pin deck. No solid 8 this trip.
Threw it back in the same place.
Down by 3, Walter Ray with a strike on his first shot. And really bowled beautifully last night in a position round.
Of course, both players have to strike in order to get a double until the 10th frame.
A little more speed, a little more direct that time, and a light hit leaves the 2-8.
Well, the last couple shots, again, he went high from that outside angle, and then he picked up the speed, you know, so he is trying to throw hard and just increased it a hair too much there. Switches to a straight ball and will throw straight at the spare. And, got it, rumbled right into it.
Fall away jumper for Walter Ray, but he converts the 2-8 in the 4th. And now his partner, Tommy Evans, will try and get something started. Keep in mind the winner of this game will then challenge John Handegard and Steve Wunderlich. Bill Beach, Bryan Voss are our number 2 seeds tonight, and Teata, Semiz and Rick Steelsmith on top of the pack this week.
Good speed that time. It looked like the same line as the 3rd frame, but a little firmer, and the ball held pocket.
Well, it has to be an advantage, Mike, to bowl just on one lane.
Oh, I think it definitely is. My partner and I, Gil Sliker, won this tournament one time, and it's much easier when I only have to bowl on one. I always said I was the best one-alley bowler on tour, so.
No sense getting confused out there. Oh, my. That one was well to the right of his target, Carlson, with problems on 48.
Well, the 1-2-8, he's fortunate. You know, that's better than a washout or something like this. Glen just lets this one slip to the right, and he has no swing area. He's aiming at about 7 or 8. That hit about 5 or 6, so it's a couple boards right. He's fortunate to get 7 and a relatively easy spare. And trouble.
Buckled the 1 and the 2 right around the 8. So now both teams have had an open frame, and Goebel stands up down by 9.
And Goebel is just wired on this left lane. But again, that's why it's a doubles tournament. Both of them have to strike to get a double.
Perfect shot for Goebel, who strikes in the 6th, and he and Glen Carlson are down by 9. And just outside the city of Buffalo lies majestic Niagara Falls, the honeymoon capital of the United States. And if you look very closely to the left, you'll see Mike Durbin going over the falls in a barrel. Where is it? And while we were gone, a strike in the 6th for Walter Ray. That was the 2nd double of the match for he and Evans, then a 4-pin for Tommy Evans, and now they lead by 18.
And a lot of pressure on Glen Carlson right now to throw a good shot. And he did. You know, when your partner is just labeling that other lane, that puts more pressure on you, Dan, because you don't want to let your team down. Now he can right back in it. He thinks that Goebel's going to strike to take the lead in the match, and I think he will too.
I would say one thing right now. I have a feeling he'll hit the pocket. Now, whether or not he carries, that's a completely different story.
He's just bowling with a lot of confidence. He really has a lot of confidence on 47. Right through the heart.
Set it short and paid the price.
And just got careful with that. Yeah, it was a surprise. He just got careful with that shot, and the speed was less, a couple miles an hour less, and the ball just crept high.
Nothing more to do now but to get 9 out. So the team of Goebel and Carlson in trouble right now in the latter stages of the opening match.
They can still get 199 out of this match, so it's not over.
Walter Ray and Tommy Evans ahead by 23 now in the 8th. The 2-pin. Walter Ray says, I'll take it. Tommy says, of course we will. Nice shot, Pardsy.
Plus, it saves count. You know, basically, Tommy Evans right now, just if he gets up and strikes, it's a bonus. But if he spares, that's almost enough. Ball just sliding here, hooking late at the end, and that pin just reached out with the head and said, 2-pin, fall over.
Strike here would all but lock up match number 1. Tommy Evans started to not run it out, but kind of walk it out a little bit as he puts the hammer down with a strike and a double in the ninth.
And he puts the team of Goebel and Carlson in the must-strike situation. They've got to strike out to make Walter Ray mark in the 10th frame with a good count. Has to hurry. And that's just about the end of the story right there. Even if he makes this and Goebel strikes out, the best they can get is 189. Walter Ray, be interesting to see if he played that gutter then or just moved in and tried to hit the hip pin solid.
Second year in a row, excuse me, Mike, that Glen Carlson has qualified in the final 5 and been turned away both times. How about picking up the washout in 1? And he does. Beautiful shot by Glen Carlson, who did what he had to do in the 9th, but it's not going to be enough.
That's what he wanted to do with the 1-2-8 right there. He had practiced at that earlier. Drives the head pin right into the 10. The perfect way to make the washout. Keeps what little hope they have alive. Well, that's what I thought he was going to do back in the 8th frame.
Well, all you have to do is look back in the 8th, Mike. They had a possible, what, 231 if they had struck out from that point?
Right. It's just with that, they were 8 pins down at that point. If they strike, they take a 2-pin lead. They've got all the momentum going, everything going their way. That shot was definitely the key of the match.
Well, Goebel just cut it short, set it short, and as you mentioned, it was probably a couple of miles per hour slower than the previous couple of strikes, and that's what cost him. Too bad, because Bryan did have an outstanding shot. Great reaction.
Just one bad pass at the ball.
That's it. One more strike, and it's 189 for Goebel and Carlson.
Trying to figure out here what Evans and Williams will need, or what Walter Ray will need when he steps up in there. Basically just to keep it on the lane.
Somehow I think he'll be able to do that.
Yes, somehow. I think he needs about 6 pins on the first ball to lock it up.
High again, but a nice finish for Bryan Goebel. He and Glen Carlson, more than likely, will end the week in 5th place.
Well, you never know. After watching Dave Ferraro last week go 5 and 8 out, you never know.
It can happen.
Walter Ray moves in. Intelligent shot there.
I like that angle a little better than the outside angle. Outside angle looks a little inconsistent. Looks like it's going to hang just a fraction if you don't hit it right.
Yeah, if you throw it a little too hard. It'd be interesting to see if he changes for the next game. It'll also be interesting to see how Wunderlich and Handegard operate when they come on. Whether they're going to try and make Tommy Evans finish in the 10th frame in the match.
Walter Ray right back to the well with another strike on 48, and he is shopping obviously right now, and he likes what he's buying.
I think he's going to move in there for the next match myself.
5th place for Bryan Goebel and Glen Carlson, and it was a great week nonetheless. I tell you what, it's a fun week to watch because the touring players get a chance to bowl with the stars of yesteryear. Now Walter Ray back out to the ditch. Well, this young man is striking from everywhere, just like Mike Durbin used to do in his prime. So it's Tommy Evans and Walter Ray. They move on, but before we get to match number 2, it's a look at the backswing with Mike Durbin's Average Builder. Topping Super Supreme Pizzas. Pizza Hut, making it great.
For tonight's Average Builder, I'd like to take a look at the backswing. Let me say at the outside that there are many different types of successful backswings on the PBA Tour. All the way from John Harsinna, the PBA Senior Player of the Year, his short, controlled, powerful backswing, to Pete Weber's very high backswing way over his head. Having said that, I'd like to give you, though, a couple of ideas that I think can help you improve your backswing and make it more consistent, so hopefully your average will go up. The first thing is when you get into the swing, when you start to let the ball swing, let the weight of the ball dictate how far it comes back into the backswing, like so. Don't try and control the swing all the way through and have a different height backswing on every single shot. The second thing is, when we hit the peak of our backswing, I recommend that it be shoulder high, right here. And at this point, put a little lock on your chin so it will lock it right in at that shoulder high, because really the only way it's going higher is for my head to go down. Now, I threw a shot earlier, and we're going to take a look at my shot and analyze my backswing. Starting right here, into the push away. It'll stop right here, and we see that it's just below shoulder height. My head is slightly down. I need to work on that a little bit, but it's not a bad shot. I'm in position to throw the ball and do it the same way time after time after time. Now, that's my viewpoint and what I think you should do. For another viewpoint, we have a couple of guests with us tonight. Representing the seniors, we have two-time winner on the Senior PBA Tour this year, John Handegard. And representing the touring player, we have a rising young star who's already won an ABC Masters title, Rick Steelsmith. John, you have a very picturesque game, but what advice would you give to our senior citizens out there as far as the backswing is concerned?
It doesn't differ too much from yours. I primarily just try to place the ball in front of me and walk by it, not pull the ball in the backswing or try to control it, just let it go back to whatever's natural. And from that point, hopefully it just flows into the downswing and the follow-through.
Okay, that's for the older set. Rick, you have a different type of backswing than John does. That's much higher. Tell us about the evolution of your backswing.
I think my backswing evolved for two reasons mainly. One, I'm a shorter player. I'm only about 5'7", and the arc of my swing is a lot shorter than someone who's 6 foot or a little taller. So in order to generate extra ball speed, I need to go a little bit higher with my swing in order to still keep it free and loose. And another reason is I like to try and create some power with my wrist and get some turn on the ball. And in order to get the ball down the lane with the revolutions on it, I need that extra ball speed too. And the higher arc backswing seems to help me do both of those.
So your higher backswing helps with both the power and the speed.
That's what it does for me, yes.
Okay. Well, these two guys both threw a shot earlier, and we're going to give John Handegard an opportunity to analyze and critique his own shot.
You can see here I have a short push away, and from this point I like to just let it drop like I'm walking by it. It doesn't go very high, about the same as Mike's. And now my theory here is to try to get my feet underneath me. I want that left foot to stop just before the ball gets there. If I do that, then I get a good roll on the ball.
Well, John, that looked pretty good to me. Now, Rick Steelsmith's backswing, as we said, is different. And Rick, let's let you analyze your swing.
Okay, I start the ball a little bit early since the swing is going to go higher than shoulder level. And there I try to get it just above the level of my head. And from there I like to keep my swing as loose as possible and just let the downswing flow through easy and follow through as firm as possible.
There you have it. Two different ideas from two different players, from the younger generation and from the more mature. You be sure and join us August 24th, Saturday in Battle Creek, Michigan. We'll have another average builder. And in the meantime, if you have trouble, any at all, be sure and see your local PBA pro.
And we'll be back to Buffalo. It's Walter Ray and Tommy Evans against Steve Wunderlich and John Handegard, the touring pros and the seniors this week in Buffalo. ESPN, the New York Jets, and the New York Giants from Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. The Giants and the Jets preseason football. You'll be watching that, won't you?
I predict New York will win.
Once again, Durbin out on the edge or the ledge. It's incredible how you continue to do that throughout your broadcast career.
Back to the bowling here, and we talk about strategy all the time, and Wunderlich and Handegard have put it on Evans and Walter Ray. They're going to have Steve Wunderlich finish on the right lane in the 10th frame.
Handegard in the track area. Flush strike on lane 47 for the handyman, John Handegard.
Well, they countered. Walter Ray and Tommy Evans have the option. They switched lanes. Now, Tommy Evans is going to bowl on 48, and Walter Ray will bowl on the left lane. Let's see if he plays the gutter over there, too. That's where the strategy in this tournament comes into play. Personally, I think that this is a mistake. I think they should have let Evans finish in the 10th frame because these two guys were pretty lined up in those two lanes, but what do I know? I'm up here.
One more pin needed to topple, and it didn't, so Tommy Evans opens up with a problem.
Well, the strategy's working for Wunderlich and Handegard right away. I mean, putting the onus on this other team. Tommy Evans hasn't thrown a ball on lane 48 in over a half hour, so he had no idea what the lane was going to really do. He had, you know, some idea, but took a shot to learn it, and is going to get a split.
Handegard and Wunderlich putting heads together, so the change hurts the team of Evans and Williams. Let's see if Walter Ray can come back with a strike on 47.
See, I just look at it. They shot 230 the last game. Why mess with that?
Doesn't make much difference where Walter Ray throws because he's just striking at will.
And we watched him earlier in practice. He was throwing the ball real slow and hooking it off the lane, and then he picked up the speed. He can hook it. He can throw it straight. He can play inside, outside. All he can do everything except win, which he hadn't been able to do since 1987.
Can't believe he hasn't won a title since '87. 22 appearances in the championship round. Maybe tonight will be the night. Wunderlich, a little dip of the shoulder, almost leaves the bucket and ends up with the tender 2-pin when it's all said and done.
And Steve, after the match play was done last night, went down with Wayne Webb, his good friend, and worked on his game for an hour, changed his wrist position from a cupped wrist position to straight, changed his push-away position for Williams. He said he changed everything except his name. Basically, though, what he's trying to do is keep his wrist straight behind the ball and let the hand release happen more naturally. He thinks, or is having a feel that he's going around the ball, but to me, it looks like he's basically coming up straight behind it, but getting more forward roll.
Which will mean less hook down the lane.
Well, it looks like it's going straighter to me.
Handegard walks through the shot. Is a little late, and 4-6s it on lane 47.
And again, 47 hooks more than 48. So if you let up on that speed a little bit at all in the track area, it's going to creep high.
John will be the defending champion when we head to Battle Creek next week for the Ebonite PBA Seniors Championship. Tommy Evans with a strike here would give his team the first double of the match.
And they're ahead by 2 already, sitting on the bench. You know, see if he makes that adjustment, moving about a board left with his feet on lane 48. Adjusting for that 4-7-10 he left in the opening frame.
Oh, stood up on that shot. 3-6, 7-10.
2 shots on the lane and 2 splits, and suddenly, you know, that target gets smaller and smaller and smaller. See, what went wrong here is simply really in his mind. He doesn't let go of the ball. Thumb and fingers together at the same time and left. He's steering it to the pocket. He's afraid to trust it to the right, and that's what happens. I know the feeling. I had it many times. This is makeable. Chance. Oh, right around it. Right around it. Great shot at the spare. And a bad break.
3-pin whistles around the 7. And that is a tough break.
Well, look at, he hit it perfect, Dan. I mean, hits the 3-pin on the right. The ball takes out the 6-10. And that 3-pin just flies around the 7.
Tic-tac-toe on the scoreboard. Walter Ray looked like he may have tugged that shot a board or two, but he got away with it.
Good speed. Good speed.
Walter Ray batting 1,000 here in terms of striking. Now let's see if Wunderlich can come up with a strike on the right-hand lane.
Rolled it better and got the 8-10 out of there.
Kept it right in the track, and so Wunderlich strikes, and now he'll look for Handegard to double.
Again, he's trying for the straighter wrist rather than cupped. We see it straight there. Now it stays straight. Watch at the top of the backswing. Still wants to creep in that cup position a little bit, but it's pretty straight. Stays behind it all the way. Good balance.
Back to live action. Handegard slaps out a double in the 4th, and the 5th. So that team is off and running.
And you feed off one another here, Dan. When one guy gets it going, the other guy senses it. You know, right now the pressure is all on Tommy Evans. Everybody else is striking, and he's going, don't it, don't it.
He left the 4-7-10 in the first, the 3-6-7-10 in the third. Let us hope he ends up in the pocket here in the 5th.
Well, they're down by 20. He can cut it to 10. And makes the good shot, and the hard 10 stands up there, and his wife Lynn looks up and says, well, I've seen lots of those before.
Very, very good shot.
Yeah. And that's just the way bowling goes. That's part of the sport. I mean, you know, bad break, make a good shot, another bad break. He's got to make the spare and go sit down.
And what has to be a little frustrating in this type of an event too, Mike, is you only get 5 shots at it too. It's not like you get a whole game.
Yeah, he's only got 2 left.
Striking run, and he X's in the 6th. Pilot Field in downtown Buffalo is the home of the Buffalo Bisons. Tonight, they expect to exceed the 1 millionth fan mark for the 4th consecutive year. Big strike in the 6th for Steve Wunderlich. Gave he and his partner Handegard a 3-bagger, and then John Handegard left the 10-pin in the 7th, and now it's a 29-pin lead for Handegard and Wunderlich as Tommy Evans will try and double up in the 7th.
And he just has to strike here, Dan. Has to. Stroked it. Stroked it. Oh, my goodness gracious. Walter Ray just shakes his head.
Tommy Evans doesn't even change the expression on his face. He's gone solid 10, solid 8. That could be a 4-bagger. It could be, what, a 9-pin lead?
And the split that he made but didn't make, I mean, he's made a lot of good shots here and has nothing to show for it. Not a strike.
I think this is what frustrates bowlers, but it's also what brings them back to the game.
Does it? There's some of us that it hasn't brought
Mike,
back.
you were mailed home long ago. You were a lost cause.
I'm bowling a league this fall with my son. Yes.
With Mike?
With Mike Jr.
Well, you got the righty and the lefty theory then.
Yeah, that's right.
Walter Ray had thrown 8 consecutive strikes, which is very tough to do in this doubles format until that soft tap.
And it looks like the strategy for Handegard and Wunderlich has paid off. They put the decision-making thing on Evans and Williams, and they opted to switch, and it hasn't worked for them.
And more than likely for Walter Ray, it will be another chance in the championship round. And
no title.
No title. He really has bowled very, very solidly this winter and this spring and summer. He just hasn't been able to come up with a victory. When he does, he's liable to reel 3 or 4 off in a year.
He's made 6 championship round appearances this year alone.
I mean, the leaders have only 8, I believe. Wunderlich trying to dance down the 10. That won't work.
He got a little quick with that shot, but with this new release, the ball held into the pocket, and he's shooting just a 10-pin. He can make the 10-pin. He knows that.
Wunderlich and Handegard could still shoot 225.
And the best Williams and Evans can get is, what, 196? So the match is still up for grabs. It can still be won by either team. Trouble. Right there.
Great release and straight into the channel for Wunderlich, who gives new life to Evans and Williams.
Trying to throw a knuckleball at it, and he did, but he just got it aboard right and misses the 10-pin.
And if Handegard doesn't strike here, watch out.
Well, the pressure is all on John now. Good shot. Another 10-pin.
Pair of 10s back-to-back for Handegard on lane 47. A spare here and 3 strikes would give that team a game of 204.
But right now, Evans and Williams is thinking, hey, we can still win this match. All Tommy has to do is stand up and throw one strike. You know, and he knows how to get into the pocket now. Because Walter Ray is confident that he can strike out.
The senior version of that team picks up the 10-pin.
Well, this is what it's all about on the PBA Tour, senior or junior, and that's striking in the 9th and 10th. Have to do that to win matches. He gave up on that shot and it held pocket.
Thought he tugged it and probably did. Evans comes back with the raised eyebrows. Now Walter Ray starts to lick his chops.
And we see it here. A little tug right there, but the ball held a lot of oil in the lane there. And he'll take it. Back to live action for the double.
Walter Ray likes it and he strikes. So Evans and Walter Ray Williams Jr. trying to mount some kind of a comeback here in the 10th frame.
And boy, I'll tell you, missing spares in crucial situations, 8th, 9th, and 10th, just puts adrenaline into your opposition. And that's what's happened here. That missed spare has just turned this match around.
Well, one more and Wunderlich will have to double.
That's right. One more and 9 is what he needs to make Wunderlich double.
Walter Ray out of the gates quickly, down on one knee, and the 10-pin stands. The 6-pin just fell right into the channel.
And you know, he's throwing the ball so well that you know he's going to hit the pocket. And his opponent knew that too. Wunderlich still needs a mark in that 10th frame. And he's not a very confident bowler at this stage of his career.
Well, obviously, a player who qualifies for the championship round and then completely changes his game an hour after he's done, that shows you that you're not very comfortable with where you are physically or mentally.
Interesting. I did that when I won with Gil Sliker in the regular doubles tournament back in 1983.
Yeah, but of course he carried the show, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
A re-rack for Wunderlich.
Steve took his first re-rack of the game. He just wants to make one good shot right here.
A little room. He asks for it to carry, and he is fortunate that he didn't end up with the 10-pin along with the 4 and the 7. Look at Handegard. His eyes are rolling to the back of his head.
And he's down on one knee, and that ball leaked high or crept high on him. Really surprised him. He thought he was flush in the 1-3 pocket, and it went right through the heart of the pins. 4-7. I guess nothing is a gimme here.
No inside the leather. Wunderlich feeling a little better about himself at this point. He nearly gave away the match by missing the 10-pin.
And basically, what does he need? Just 4 pins. Stay behind the foul line, but I did see him foul once in practice.
I think I'd go to the old Durbin 3-step at this point. You've heard of the Texas 2-step, then there's the Durbin 3-step. Behind the line, good speed, and the same result, the 4-7. But a victory for the team of Wunderlich and Handegard. 190 to 185, went right down to the 10th frame. For Walter Ray and Tommy Evans, well, they finished 4th this week. We'll come back with a look at the rest of the top 24 finishers this week and the semifinal match. And the hometown favorite, Brad Kozuski.
And Jimmy Certain and John Mashinsky.
Nicholas Francis and Jeff Bellinger finished up 8th.
Well, Strampy, Hall of Famer, and Danny Wiseman, a coming star.
Tommy Kreitz and Bill Johnson paired up to finish in the number 10 position.
And, of course, my ex-boss, Bobby Meadows, and last week's champion, Tony Wesley.
And in the number 12 slot, Hall of Famer Don Johnson and the legend, Harry Sullivan.
And Jim Pensack and a smiling Jim Brenner.
In 14th place, Joe Firpo and host pro Jimmy Schroeder.
And Bob Hart in the finals again, and Billy Orlikowski.
Tommy Baker from Buffalo, and also Travis Smith. They were 16.
And Mark Williams from Texas, and Art Harris, a nice player on the senior tour.
John Zach and Purvis Granger finished up 18th, won $2,450. When we come back to Buffalo, Brian Voss, Bill Beach will take on Steve Wunderlich and John Handegard in the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championships. On lane 47.
That means that they get their normal finish with Wunderlich on the right lane. Voss and Beach have just decided they're going to put Voss on that left lane and not worry about the other team.
John Handegard opens with a beautiful strike.
They think they can beat 190. That's all that Handegard and Wunderlich bowled the last game, and if that happens again, they think they can beat that.
But that's 190 in the first game. Now they've had a whole game to get adjusted to the pair.
They didn't throw a lot of strikes, so we'll see. I guess it's called playing your own game and not worrying about your opponent.
Bill Beach, who earlier this year was inducted into the ABC Hall of Fame, opens up with a Hall of Fame shot on lane 48.
And again, right at the 1-3, no hook at all, just a nice roll. The ball did go into a roll at the end. Interesting, Bryan hooks the ball quite a bit, or at least compared to the other players on the telecast, except for Bryan Goebel, and he just crushed this left lane. So the left lane looks like it swings back, and when you can hook it a little bit like that, you got a little room.
Voss gets a handful, and he flushes it. So Voss and his partner Bill Beach open quickly with a double.
And immediately the pressure switches to Wunderlich right now. He's carrying the weight of the team, so to speak, because he's expected to do these things. And he struggled the last 2 or 3 frames on this lane, and see what he does here.
Good speed.
Will it hit it?
Oh, boy. Tough break there. Messenger almost delivered on the 10, but not quite.
Looked like he made the board move left with his feet. The ball just didn't quite get back solid in the 1-3 pocket.
Now what goes through his mind after missing this in game number 1
is that he's not going to miss it twice in a row. That's what goes through his mind.
Knuckleball again. Turns around and says, I'm at 50%. Let's hope for better than that the rest of the way.
And he says that counts twice. I had a double kiss on it.
He couldn't have thrown that one any better. Handegard up the track and a little high on the pocket.
And he eases up on that spare on that left lane, and it goes high on him every time. The difference between him and Voss in that lane is he's going down the boards. As soon as he lets up, it hooks right away. Bryan is left going out. When it hooks, it brings it back to the pocket for Bryan.
Mike, do you think that the senior players are more adapted and bowl better in doubles than the touring pros?
No, I don't think necessarily. I think both players enjoy this type of format. You get an opportunity to bowl with somebody else, work as a team together. Doubles is a lot of fun.
Gonna have to hurry, and a fortunate break that time as the 2-pin is left remaining.
And he swung it just a half a board to the right, and it's just not going to make it back. At the 2-pin, he'll go straight at it, and no hook at all. Uses the same ball, doesn't switch balls.
Two-pin disappears as Dolores and Bill Jr. look on. Boy, nice to have an anchor man like Brian Voss bowling with you, huh?
Especially as good as he's throwing the ball lately. That ball rumbling going down there?
Kind of muscled out the 7 and the 10, yeah. The railroad shot that time by Brian Voss.
Between the 2nd and 3rd arrows, swinging out maybe to the 8th board, comes in light in the 1-3, and the 7-10's there for a while. And they both go, and he looks it down. Ooh, points at it. Has to hurry. And does.
A little more swing that time for Wunderlich, who you can tell he's moving left with the feet, trying to get that ball to react, and he did that time. Let's see if Handegard can capitalize.
And Steve looks like he's feeling better about himself and about how he's throwing the ball and gaining some more confidence.
Boy, it helps so much to get past that first game, relax a little bit, get into your own rhythm and swing.
Double here would help, too.
And cut the lead to just one. Will he do it? Yes, he does. Handegard and Wunderlich come back with a double.
Handegard is just steady Eddie. I'll tell you, just throws ball after ball after ball into the pocket. And then he misses and he says, what happened? What went wrong?
I mean, he's like a computer when he bowls. Once he dials in the right program, it's all over.
But he's a perfectionist computer. I mean, he expects himself to be perfect, and he can't be. Good
Quick
shot.
with the feet. Come on, wash out that 5. 4-pin toppled, but just a little bit in front of the 5-pin.
It would have been a shaky one, but he'd have taken it.
Well, that gives him a double, and then has Bryan with the big right hand in the 6th.
Right.
Through the years when you and I have done this, it's interesting. The doubles are tough to come by. Once you get the double, then the string really goes, but it's interesting.
But
you could see how hard Bill was working on that shot. He wanted it desperately.
was because he's thinking in his mind, too, if I strike here, it's a turkey.
Well, both teams with a double. It's about as close as you could get through the middle stanza.
Both teams clean at this point in the match. And that evens it up entirely. The solid 10. Bryan makes this, and it's an even match with half a game to go. In the position round, as we said, Beach and Voss went from 7th to 2nd when Beach bowled 251 and Bryan Voss bowled 238.
At one time yesterday afternoon, the top 8 teams were separated by only 45 pins. Voss with a double or triple hit of the 10, and this one's all evened up. The city of Buffalo will host the World University Games in 1993, and we'll be back with more of the semifinal right after this. Beach steps up now in the 7th. His team trails by 20 because Wunderlich and Handegard extended that double into a 4-bagger.
And Bill's right back in the pocket. He's bowled a very good game here. Handegard, after his partner had tripped the 4-pin in the 6th, throws his best shot of the match right here. Good speed, flush in the pocket, and as he came back off, we said, you know, what a nice senior partner to have, because you just know he can throw a lot of strikes. Beach, this is back just the shot before, flush in the 1-3. Bryan Voss takes a re-rack and has to double right here in the 8th frame.
And if he does, the lead down to 10, and they still have a chance.
Oh, they have an excellent chance. I mean, anything can happen.
The string, and Voss with a really crucial hit comes up with a strike.
A crisp shot. Yeah, just heavy roll on that. The pressure swings back and forth now. Wunderlich steps up in the 8th. Crept high the last time, light the time before. You like those flush strikes, Dan.
Well, you can see that Steve has continued to move on this right-hand lane. Keeps moving left to see if he can find a little oil pattern in there. Will it be 5 in a row?
Has to hurry. Just didn't catch it. Opens his hand there, and that's exactly what happened. The timing was a little bit quick, and he just did not catch it with the fingers. The 2 and the 5. See if he uses the same ball or switches to the straighter ball for this. No, he's using the same ball. Anytime you got 2 of them down there, you can chop it, but he needs to make this to maintain the lead. Has it.
Beautiful conversion for Wunderlich. It's an 8-pin match, and for he and his partner, a possible 246 if they take it off the sheet.
But by him not striking there, their fate is out of their hands. If Voss and Beach strike out, they're going to win the match. Good speed. Good shot. Boy, he bowled well this game.
What a great swing. That ball came flying off his hand.
This is the biggest shot of the match right now, though. Because if there's a weak link, you would think it would be Mr. Beach. No knock on his ability or anything, but it's just if he strikes here, you expect Bryan to strike out.
Dropped it. Will he get away with it? No. The worst possible disaster as he 4-9s it.
Has to make this, Denny. Has to make this. If he makes it, it's a 10-pin match, and Bryan can strike out in the 10th to make it even. Bill's a good split shooter.
Give it a run. Doesn't quite get to the left of the 4-pin, so a dejected Bill Beach heads back and says, all right, Bard, strike out. That gives us 214, and we'll just have to pray for something big in the 10th frame.
Yep. Striking route makes Wunderlich mark again.
Only open in the match coming in the 9th frame.
Can't throw it any better than hard 10. And that's going to be it. Wunderlich and Handegard are going to move on to bowl for the title
against Teata, Semiz, and Rick Steelsmith. Excellent game bowled by that pair right there.
Interesting that I don't think either Wunderlich or Steelsmith is eligible for the Firestone next year. One of them is going to win this match and be eligible.
Bryan Voss with another terrific week, but he'll have to settle for 3rd place. Knowing Bryan, he won't be real happy about that, but he gave it his all.
And there's something wrong with the lane over there. No, the ball came back.
Bill Beach will remember the 9th frame probably until next year about this time, when he will try and bowl his way back onto the show. And you paid tribute to him in the Open, Mike, trying to become the first super senior to win on the senior tour.
And not just winning against seniors, he's playing against touring players here too. I mean,
Beach and Voss, 203, their final tally, and they will settle for 3rd place money, while Wunderlich finishes out in the 10th.
Just has to keep it on the line, on the lane, and stay behind the foul line. That's a winner right there.
So Wunderlich and Handegard move on to the championship game. And they will take on Teata, Semiz, and Rick Steelsmith. And they're shooting for $28,000 in first place prize money. It's for mufflers, brakes, and shocks. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And we'll join match number 1 in progress.
Walter Ray, they were leading by 23 pins this time, bowling in the 8th frame here. This was after Goebel had opened in the 8th frame. Got the 2-pin coming forward for the break. Tommy Evans followed that up with a clutch strike in the 9th frame. They went on to win the first match.
I was going to say, for my money, the critical shot in game number 1 was when Goebel opened in the 8th, because that was after the double.
Well, we just missed that one, Dan.
Let's move on to game number 2 now, and it was Wunderlich who bowled in the clutch.
Needed a mark in the 10th frame, left the 4-7 on a shot he thought was flush, but the pro he is, he came back and made the spare to win the match just enough.
And the final on that one, 190 to 185, went right down to the 10th frame. Then it was on to the semi-final game here in the Senior Touring Pro Doubles, and Bill Beach unfortunately had the shot in the 9th.
Watch him drop the ball. Just fell off of his hand at this point. Looked like it might set in the pocket, which it did, but he still left a 4-9, a bad break. not a well-executed shot, and he was very disappointed. Didn't make the spare, and that turned out to be the difference in the game.
And the final 246 to 203 as Wunderlich struck out in the 10th. We'll be back with the start of the title match here from Buffalo. Rick Steelsmith, Teata Semiz, the top-seeded team. And they will take on Handegard and Wunderlich. Final two teams have now assembled on the championship round pair. And this will be a difficult one because they're all in red.
All except for Wunderlich.
He's got red pants.
Handegard and Wunderlich get the same draw.
And now the handyman starts to run him out. But, of course, this is the title game.
Hey, he knows if he wins here, that's 3 this year. And he didn't get Bowler of the Year as a senior player last year. He thought he had a chance. So he wants it bad this year.
And he's over 40,000 in earnings because he would pick up 14,000. Teata Semiz would like to open up the same way, and he does with a strike on 48.
And the strategy by the team of Steelsmith and Semiz is they want the turning player, Steelsmith, finishing on the left lane. He wants a re-rack right away.
Wichita, Kansas, and boy, last night was an exciting one for Brad Kazuski. He was, of course, named the Rookie of the Year this past season, but he received his award in front of the hometown fans.
And it's now the Harry Golden Rookie of the Year award, named in honor of the former tournament director for years and years and years on the tour.
I don't think they could have chosen a better person to name that award after. And one of the gentlemen who won that award in his rookie season on the PBA Tour was Rick Steelsmith. Nice start.
Nice start. Beautiful shot. He throws more power on the ball with less effort than anybody I've ever seen. He just is so smooth and so such a professional. Hadn't been for that injury, but he's coming back little by little by little.
Wunderlich wants to do the same. And how about some help? 4-pin toppled near the 9, but he'll have to settle for the 9.
It'd be interesting to see if he makes an adjustment too, because I thought his speed was just a hair soft on that. If he just picked up the speed just a little bit, it's going to be flush in the pocket without the 4 or the 9. But you can't always tell that when you're bowling out there, Denny. I couldn't. And a lot of players can't always feel when that speed is just a little softer. Hey. Woo.
Some catcall whistles from the back, but Steve knew there was no problem with that 9.
Gives it room to the right. There's a lot of oil out there. That 5th or 6th board. He didn't know whether it's going to hit it or not. In there.
Handegard continues to strike on lane 47, and Wunderlich is thinking, hey, that sets up another possible double.
If I'm not mistaken, that's 6 out of the last 7 opportunities he struck on that lane, and the one time he didn't was a 10-pin. Teata with kind of a suitcase grip that he's gone to this week.
He'll be packing the bags and heading for Battle Creek if he continues to throw strikes like that. He bowls with a lot of heart. That's one thing Rick Steelsmith talked about last night. He said, Denny, he says, I couldn't have picked a better senior pro. He says, Teata got right in there and bowled best he could.
Well, Teata couldn't have picked a better touring pro, I don't think. Steelsmith is bowls with a lot of heart, too. And with a lot of ball.
Ahead by 20, and now he pulls up.
Something distracted his concentration. I don't know what it was.
Reset and try it again. Told me that he has bowled better this week than maybe any week since he's come back full time.
Has to hurry, and does.
Sent it wide, got it back, and Semiz and Steelsmith have opened with a 4-bagger.
That's why they led the tournament. They put the pressure all on Wunderlich right now. Has to hurry. 4, then the 10, or the 9, then the 10.
He's right in that in-between zone. You mentioned the fact that he'd like to see some shots go flush, and he's either light or a little heavy. He's just in between all night long.
Yeah, he's in the pocket, but just... at the 10 pin.
Well, this is the final stop for the touring pros on ESPN this summer, and I'd like to tip my hat to some of the guys that have helped us out throughout the summer months. Tour press director Bobby Dinkins, Dave Ord, the tour broadcast director, of course, the public relations director Kevin Shippey. Couldn't do it without those gentlemen. Believe me, I worked in the press room 3.5 years. I know what a struggle that can be from time to time on the road. So, gentlemen, thanks for a job well done. And Handegard continues his striking surge on lane 47.
John is just a striking machine over there on that left lane. Teata for 5 in a row.
Semiz has been absolutely perfect, and he'll hope that Steelsmith can get halfway home with a strike in the 6th.
Boy, they just look unbeatable. Teata just playing a tight line right around the second arrow. Ball little finish at the end, and he's had every ball identical.
Off the hand clean. And they're halfway home. A 6-bagger for Semiz. And Steelsmith, you see, teed up off the bench that time.
And there's the difference between the power of a Steelsmith as the ball, watch it, hits half pocket, same place that Wunderlich's ball hit, only watch the 10 pin go flying out of here on his shot.
Now Steve Wunderlich in the 6th, trying to come back with a double. Good shot. Oh, 6-pin right around the 10, and Steve says that's the best shot I've thrown tonight that didn't strike.
Yeah, it's amazing. This game is what was happening to Tommy Evans a couple of games ago now is happening to Steve Wunderlich. Every ball in the pocket, but boy, you just don't win games when you go strike, spare, strike, spare.
Well, that'll break your heart because Handegard had thrown the strike. Steve probably with the best offering of the evening, and he ends up with a solid 10, and it just kind of it stops you in your tracks, and what it does too for Teata and Steelsmith is hey, we a couple more here and we got this thing handled.
Yeah, and they do.
I mean, when you're down by 50,
a couple more, we're gonna be thinking about 300.
Well, you and I had the pleasure of watching Mark Roth shoot .299 in this bowling center a few years past.
Right on this pair of lanes. Has to hurry.
Boy, Handy stood up on that shot. Messenger didn't quite get to the 10 pin, and he wasn't happy at all with that shot. But a 6-bagger will do that to you.
Yeah, you just don't strike with spares when there's, or don't win with spares when they're striking every time.
I mean, when you've got the pedal all the way to the floor and people are driving by you and waving.
But John cannot fault his performance here. He has bowled impeccably.
Still waiting to see perhaps the first perfect game in doubles competition. Is that harder than a normal 300?
Well, it must be. It's never been done. Because it hasn't been done that often.
Teata wanted to run it out, and then he stopped, and we won't have to worry about it. 3-6-10. And Steelsmith says, that's all right, Teata. Just get the spare, and we'll move on from here.
Well, that's about the Handegard and Wunderlich's only chance is if he would miss this spare right now. And he did. Chop the 3 straight back. A little chink in the armor right now. And there's just very little life in Handegard and Wunderlich, but there's a little bit there.
A pulse.
A pulse. Yeah.
Faint. Steelsmith's going to try and pull the plug. right now, Mr. Durbin. He just stands up, takes aim, and lets it rip.
How does he get so much power with so smooth an effort? Jack Dolan, the general manager here.
Oh, what a wonderful man, and a great friend of bowling in the pros. He's been here a lot of years, and they've done a wonderful job with the Savannah, and you can't say enough about the fans in Buffalo either.
Wunderlich looking for his first strike of this game. And gets it finally when it doesn't, not for a double.
Well, but Steve looks over at Handy and says, we have to start somewhere.
You say, now it's your turn.
Yeah.
He says, hold me up, partner.
That's a shame because he did throw such a great shot the time before.
Handegard has to strike here.
Stay with it, John. Oh, tried to fight the 6 out of the channel back into the 10, but it wouldn't work.
A little light-fingered on that. The ball just kind of fell off his hand on line, but just not the lift.
So now Steelsmith and Semiz will try and put the finishing touches on this one as Jack Robbins looks on, and it's been an exciting week for that tournament coordinator. Teata says, well, I missed the spare. Let me see if I can make amends, and he leaves the bucket. This one's not over.
Well, it's all but over. I mean, the best they can get is 209. Teata and them have 193 right now. I mean, or 190 something right now, even if he misses the spare.
That's true.
But if he missed this, then Steelsmith would need a mark.
Teata doesn't waste much time either. Goes up, heaves it, and says, all right, that's enough of the bucket. Now I'll let my partner just pencil this one out.
And he will.
Yeah, I think he just might.
Teata straight at the bucket, the 2-4-5-8, down on one knee.
No, he never quite got to the knees.
We won't say anything that he can't get that far anymore.
Oh, I got in trouble a couple of years ago.
Steelsmith's been waiting a long time for that shot.
And now he'll collect $14,000 and start making travel plans to Riviera Lanes in Akron, Ohio to bowl in the Firestone Tournament of Champions. It's been a long, long way back since the operation 2 years ago. He's still not 100%. We talked about that at length last night, but he said, Danny, the refreshing thing to know is that I feel like my shoulder is getting better and getting stronger. Hopefully someday it'll be back to where it was as they topple, and Rick Steelsmith has finished a long and arduous journey back into the winner's circle on the PBA Tour.
And the interesting thing is he has struck every shot in this game. He hasn't missed.
First time I had a chance to watch him was at the Masters the year that he won, and he was sensational.
Oh, we wondered then whether he was an ET, you know, whether he was from this planet.
One more strike. Why not? Steelsmith and Semiz team up to shoot 243 and capture the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championship. A big week for Handegard and Wunderlich, but a popular victory for Rick Steelsmith. And Teata Semiz also now is the all-time winning seniors champion with 6 titles. We'll come back to Buffalo right after this. Of the Senior Touring Pro Doubles Championships have been brought to you by durable weather beater paint, only at Sears, the home of America's craftsmen. And by Just for Men, the leader in men's hair coloring, blends away gray in 5 minutes. All right, Teata Semiz and Rick Steelsmith are the winners, and by popular vote, they've received $28,000. Jack Dolan, I know that you have a check and also a trophy.
Congratulations, Teata and Ricky. You guys bowled super all week.
All right, and Dennis Stocklosa from Bell's Markets also is going to give, I guess, you'll give that to Teata, all right, Dennis?
Congratulations on winning this year's Bell's Open.
All right. Now that we've got the formalities handled, Teata, you bowled tremendous, but you had a pretty nice partner.
I felt like a jockey all week. I felt like I was on, he was on Secretariat or whatever. I just felt like I was Angel Cordero or whatever you want to call it. But he's a horse. He carried me all week.
Yeah, but you started with 3 consecutive strikes in the final game.
Well, I just didn't want to let him down. I just concentrated a little bit harder and figured if I get a couple strikes, I know he can't miss. And we got it going.
Rick, it's been a long way back since the injury. This has to feel awfully nice.
This feels great. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. This is unbelievable. I had a great partner this week. He worked hard. He came out between blocks and practiced for an hour one afternoon. So I had the best of partners here, and I'd like to thank Bell's Markets for sponsoring the tournament. And Thruway Lanes did a great job this week. All the fans. It was just unbelievable. Loved it here.
Teata, I'd like your reaction. I understand that this makes that you've won now in 4 consecutive decades, won a PBA championship. Your reaction to that?
That's a great feeling, Mike. I joined my buddy Dick Weber and my golfing friend Dave Sutar, and it's great to win in 4th decades and take the lead in the senior titles. And I also want to thank Thruway Lanes and Bell's Market for sponsoring us this year. It's a great feeling to be here again, and it's a great feeling to win. I haven't won in a couple of years, so it's great to be here.
Teata, what about the doubles? It is a whole different format, and is it harder to bowl because you don't want to let the guy down?
It's harder, yes, Dennis. We talked about it going to the last game. Should we switch them going to the other lane? And I left it up to Ricky, and Rick said, whatever happens, happens. Let's just go out there and strike, and that's exactly what we did.
Well, that's exactly what you did. You did not miss. You struck on every shot.
I got a couple breaks there in the 10th. I didn't even know what the score was. I was looking, and I couldn't add it up.
Ricky, do you know how to get to Akron, Ohio to the Firestone Tournament of Champions?
I can find it, I think.